It's now time for On the Line with Cheryl Wilkerson. The conversation will range from local dialogue to international. This show is meant to enlighten, inform, and to inspire. On the Line with Cheryl Wilkerson begins now.
Hello and welcome to On the Line. I'm your host, Cheryl Wilkerson. Glad you could join me on this Sunday morning, man. Y'all, I had the best time last weekend. Number one daughter and I decided to go to Columbia, South Carolina because she loves Dawn Staley. So we got to see those Lady Gamecocks in action against my very own Norfolk State Spartans, and I'm so proud of them. They did a great job. But it was incredible. I saw a friend I hadn't seen, he and his wife, in years. So it was just a good time. And coming back, we stopped at the Buc-ee's. Y'all know everybody's talking because they're going to build one in New Kent County. So it was just a good time. But speaking of good times, we're going to have one on the radio today because you are about to learn so much in the next 30 minutes. And I have brought the expert to you. When I'm telling you, I would have lost my mind if it were not for the good Lord and this woman you're about to meet. I am telling you the absolute truth. We welcome to On the Line Kristi Bostic. She is a medical person extraordinaire. Now, she's got the degrees behind her name. Kristi, you're an RN. Are you anything else? You're all of that to me.
Yes. So, yes, I am a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for over, about 17 years now. And I'm also in the midst of obtaining my nurse practitioner license. So, yeah, I have that under my belt as well.
She helped me so much with my mother because, you don't know what you're doing. You're a layperson and the doctor's telling you this and then the therapist is telling you that. All I would do was call Kristi and say, what am I doing? And she would very calmly tell me what to do. And every single thing she told me to do, you best believe I did it. And that's the way I cared for my mom. It was through Kristi. I just cannot say enough about this young lady. But I wanted you all to meet her because she is nurse extraordinaire, but she is also entrepreneur extraordinaire. And this is Women's History Month, and she should be highlighted. And for that, I am bringing her on the radio today. So, Kristi, we're about to get into it. We're about to dig into it. You are, as I said, an entrepreneur. Where did that spirit come from?
Well, I can't take credit for my entrepreneur spirit. That I got from my mother. So my mother was an entrepreneur from day one. It started off with sewing items for different individuals, and then it kind of morphed into creating a ministry that helped her community out in Eden, North Carolina, to developing, wanting to develop a actual home for seniors and for veterans to service them and give them a place to go where other community resources might have failed them. So, yes, I got my entrepreneur spirit straight from my mother. Got it on it.
And when I say she is an entrepreneur, this is the thing. As far as I know, it might be more now, but she owns 2 medical-related companies. She has a clothing line, and she also does business workshops. That is what you call an entrepreneur. So right now, let's start with FaithWorks. What is FaithWorks Adult Day Support Center?
Oh, well, so FaithWorks is, like you said, an adult day support center, and kind of its name, it offers support services for adults during the day. So most people are familiar with assisted living facilities. So I always compare it or use this analogy that it's like an assisted living facility, but folks go home in the evening. So we cater, or let's say we specialize to seniors with dementia and Alzheimer's. And we are open from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Again, like I said, they go home in the evening. But it's a program that provides a wide variety of activities while providing support services that one would need as far as like activities of daily living, incorporating that in a social environment. So we make sure that we're providing that very much needed cognitive and physical stimulation throughout the day.
My mother attended this center. I saw Kristi on the news, and I went by and I saw her, and I realized it was what my mom needed. My mom had Parkinson's. And of course, anything I suggested, my mother did not want to do. But anyway, I got her to the center. She loved that center so much. She found best friends there. She would be engaged in activities there. But the funniest part about the whole thing was she would act one way there, and then she would come home and act a totally opposite way. Like, she would not, to me at home, she couldn't eat popcorn. She's at the center just eating popcorn, okay? Or my brothers would come over and say, well, Mom, how's the center? If I'm in the room, the center's okay. If I'm not around, she's expanding on all the great activities that she went through, the delicious meals that she had, just everything. So I say all of that for you all there out there listening, and Kristi, you back me up on this. The parents say no, they don't want to go, but sometimes you have to put your foot down and you have to do what's right for your parent. And it's hard because they've always been the one to put the foot down with you, but you've got to turn it around, and that's hard to do.
You're absolutely right. I always say 99% of our participants that start at FaithWorks do not start by their own will. A lot of times it's situational where they may needing more care. They're not able to stay at home alone. So, of course, anytime one loses independence, there's a fear, there's a concern, that, I don't want to go somewhere where they're going to treat me like a child or really force me to do things I don't want to do. So there's a kind of preconceived notion. But once they get into that environment where they're with their peers, they're with people that understand what they're going through, but they also have that safety net of knowing that I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to be without care. I don't have to worry about meals. They love it here, and they absolutely love the social bonds they create, and they like actually the independence that it kind of fosters by allowing them to be out and about during the day and come home at night and not having to go that extra step or that extra level of care to be in an assisted living facility or a nursing home.
And some of you listening are in Hampton Roads. Of course, we are worldwide with this broadcast. Some of you all in Hampton Roads, some of you all in Richmond. Kristi is actually located in Richmond, Virginia. But Kristi, just quickly give us some things to look for if somebody is living in St. Louis and listening to the program right now. What should they look for if they're thinking about putting their parent in a day center?
Sure, certainly. So first of all, you want to, like any service, you want to make sure that the reviews are good. And when I say reviews, in the context of adult daycare, there's always a governing body that kind of oversees their day-to-day operations. So you want to find out who that governing body is. In Virginia, it's the Department of Social Services. And on their website, and on most websites in each state, you'll be able to locate their surveys and actually see the results. And you'll be able to see what kind of grades they're getting, what kind of care they're giving, and any issues that they're coming about. So you start there. Start with knowing, are they licensed? What deficiencies have they had? What type of license do they have? And once you start there, then you'll be equipped with the knowledge to go ahead and move on to the next step, which will be actually touring the facility.
What happens when someone comes to tour FaithWorks?
Well, I always say you want to go to a center or enroll your loved one in a center where they're always ready for a tour. So if you call someplace and say they're ready, I'm coming in an hour, it should not be an issue. So likewise at FaithWorks, we always welcome a tour at any point. And just like not even a tour, but where our doors are open to families 24/7 or while we're operating. So we want to make sure that the care we're giving, the environment that we have, the atmosphere is the same no matter whether we're waiting for a tour or we're just servicing our clients on a day-to-day basis. We're always going to have that same level of energy, that same level of caring from our staff, that same level of just happiness and joy that should be going on, or you should feel that as soon as you walk into a center that is the center for your loved one.
If you're in Richmond, the only center you need to go to is Faith Works. I'm telling you, the day they have gospel music, they have devotions, they have brain games there, they have they have decent meals there, not just something thrown on a plate.
Oh, absolutely.
What am I forgetting, Kristi? You have personal care management, you have medication management. You get the full works, and I'm telling you, you just feel so relieved because you know you're leaving your loved one in good hands. It's not ever a problem about that.
Absolutely. And you know, what's important is that we make sure our seniors and our family members that may be disabled maintain as much independence as possible. And that's what we foster at FaithWorks. We want to make sure that we're giving them the ability to still do what they can for themselves while providing support services so we keep them safe. And a lot of times folks don't understand this level of care and think the only option might be assisted living or nursing homes. But a lot of folks want to care for their loved ones, but don't know that there's a middle ground option. And this is perfect for the working families that want mom, dad, aunt, uncle, sister, brother to stay with them, but just have to work. And that's the reality for many of us. Mm-hmm. So it's a great option that folks definitely should look into. And a lot of each 50 states, they have adult day care options. So it's definitely an option for you. Just got to do a little digging there wherever you're located.
What kind of payments are generally accepted at adult support centers?
So adult day supports accept a wide variety of payment methods. Mainly, Medicaid pays for adult day services. Now, that's Medicaid, not Medicare. We are lobbying currently to try to push it through for Medicare recipients to have adult daycare as an option or a covered service under their benefit. But that has not happened yet. We're hoping that will happen very soon. But right now, Medicaid pays for adult day support services as long as you've been assessed and been deemed needing these type of support services or waiver services. Also, private pay is an option. Long-term care insurance is an option where you could actually go into an adult day support center and it be paid by insurance that you have paid into throughout the years. Also, you have the veterans benefits. They also pay for adult day services. So there's a lot of different avenues where one can get either it covered or where it can be billed through different insurances.
Now, another business that you have, I think people are going to be very interested in, because you mentioned earlier that there are people that are in assisted living facilities, and sometimes that's kind of rough on the whole family. You would think it would be a big help to people, but sometimes that's not the case. Can you explain what goes on in some assisted living facilities and why you've come up with a new business concept?
Absolutely. So part of my background, I was an executive director for an assisted living facility for many years. And what I saw there is that the cost is astronomical. It really is. Right now, the median cost for a decent assisted living facility, and this is without the add-on cost, is around about $6,000 a month. And if you look at that, you know, a lot of us don't prepare to pay $6,000 a month for care, and that doesn't even add on any other services, extra services you may need. But what problem I really began to see through all of the different dealings I've had with assisted living and nursing homes is the level of care is just not there. Families are paying, or you know, your mother, your father, your whoever is paying their hard-earned life savings to stay in these facilities, and you're expecting a certain level of care, but that's just not the care that's being received. And take it a step further, a lot of people do not understand what care should be received and what the residents or the family rights are within that care setting. So Watch Care Senior Services is actually care oversight and advocacy service for families and for actual seniors and disabled individuals that reside in these care settings. We're there to advocate for them. We're there to help represent them at care plan meetings. We're there to mediate through issues. But also, on the other hand, we're there to evaluate medications and care plans to make sure the care that your loved one should be getting, they are receiving, and that the care services that their hard-earned money is paying for, they're actually receiving, and you actually know what you should be receiving. So we always believe that knowledge is power, and it really starts with educating family members, educating the actual residents there so they know their rights, and then going right behind them, advocating for those rights, and making sure that their voices are heard within those care settings.
Well, suppose the facility says, oh, you're causing too much problems coming in here. I don't want you coming in here. You got the family all riled up. The family is learning too much. Can the facility legally keep someone from watch care out?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's another piece, because a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of facilities, but there are some facilities out there that really try to push against any sort of advocacy services coming into their facilities and helping educate their families and the residents there. So there is absolutely no regulation or anything like that on the books, or even it shouldn't be in their policies and procedures that would prohibit any family members or residents from having someone come in that represents them, their best interests, that helps educate them, helps them navigate through their care plan processes, and make sure that they're kind of overseeing the care and making sure that's being delivered. If there's a facility out there that says, no, this cannot be, then that should be a definite red flag for anyone that's looking for these type of care settings, or who's currently in the care setting.
Let me tell you something. I don't care how new and shiny these facilities are. The same thing goes on behind closed doors. And I will give you, I'm telling the truth, right, Kristi?
You absolutely are.
I put my mom had to have, she fractured a vertebrae in her neck. And so she had to go to a facility for rehab for 2 weeks. I'm telling you, okay, so I would work 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. in the morning. But when I was at work, I had one of my aides, the regular aides, come stay at the hospital. Mom was never, ever, ever alone. I'm telling you, I was staying there with her all hours of the day. I never went home. Still, if I had not been there one night, my mom would not have gotten dinner. There was one time when the room, it was just so filthy, and I said, this room needs to be clean. It took forever. I went and got the cleaning supplies for the room. Okay. So what Kristi is telling you all is the truth. You need to watch over whomever you have put in these assisted living, in these nursing homes. And it's not all of them. Some of them are decent. I just had an aunt. She was in one. It was decent. I was pleased with it or whatever. But for the most part, you're hearing about these staffing shortages. It's real. The other thing is, some of these people are in position that don't want to be in position. They're burnt out or for whatever purpose or reason or whatever. So it is not easy. So a watch care is a service that is needed. And I'm telling you, Kristi does not steer you wrong. So Kristi, you also do business workshops, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I do workshops to help entrepreneurs that have an idea that's just kind of burning in their spirit, and they do not know what to do with it. And it's called Business 101. So usually once or twice a year, I will do a workshop where it is open to multiple participants. But throughout the year, I also do the Business 101 course one-on-one. And basically what it does is just help anyone who has a business idea take it from just an idea to a real legitimate business. And that's the key when I say legitimate, because a lot of folks can start a business or get business cards and put even a website together. But I want to advocate and help folks who have that vision turn it into an actual, like I said, legitimate operating, resource generating business.
If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Kristi Bostic. She is actually located in Richmond, but she is. People have her come from all over, and they evaluate their loved ones that are in facilities. She also does telephone consultations. Now, y'all, this is a business, okay? So that's the way it's handled. But her knowledge is worth every penny, okay? Because she will set you straight. She will tell you what to say when you go into these facilities. If you're having a problem, she'll tell you things to look for. She can help you as far as when they tell you, the doctors always say, well, change this medication and use this one. And I'd be like, Kristi, why? And she'd be like, well, do this or don't do this. And I'm telling you, the peace of mind that you get, it's not free, and it should not be free. And of course, if you're in the Richmond area, you can take your loved one, your auntie, your mom, your dad, your great uncle, whomever it is, to FaithWorks Adult Day Support Center. It's right there on Mountain Road in Glen Allen. And I'm telling you, they will enjoy themselves. You do fun things. You have birthday parties for them. You always decorate for all the holidays, right? The food is good, right? I'm like, I need to come here and eat, right?
We have a good time, and we make sure we love on our participants. We treat them like family. So that's what kind of sets us apart from the rest. It's more than a business for us. It's more of a ministry. It's more of giving back to the community and serving folks who have worked their whole life and who have given their whole life, making sure that their time, that now where they should be cared for, they're cared for appropriately. They're treated with dignity and respect. That's what we do here at FaithWorks. And that's what we try to encourage other, even businesses that open up. So there's been several adult daycares that have opened up after sitting through one of the Business 101 courses. But we try to instill that same morals, that same work ethic in anyone who is caring for the elderly and disabled, because they absolutely deserve, care where folks are really providing respect. And you mentioned earlier, not everyone who is in the healthcare industry wants to be there or should be there. So it's important that whatever service you're looking for, whatever place or you're looking to place your loved one, that you make sure that care environment is one that would be a nurturing one that would really provide an environment where your loved one would thrive. Just because you need care services doesn't mean it's the end of the line. It can just be the next step in life where you will thrive in that area. So that's what you really want to make sure that you're looking for when looking for services.
What do you say to the child, the adult child or the adult whomever who needs to put their loved one, they need to take them to FaithWorks and they feel guilty about it, like I should be able to do this, or they told me they don't want to do this. What do you say to that person that's feeling guilty about taking their loved one to such a good place?
So first off, I would say, caregiver burnout, caregiver overload is real. It's a real thing. It's a real issue. And that's nothing to be ashamed about, because if you're not able to regenerate and you're not able to really function because you're burnt out or because you're just overloaded with the stress of caring for a loved one, then you won't be able to provide the care that your loved one deserves. So I would say there's no room for being, there's a disappointment there maybe, but not feeling guilty, because as long as you're providing that level with a care service where they're going to get, the best in class care, that should be something that's celebrated. They need their independence. It's not good to just sit up under each other all day, because, no one ends up happy at the end of the day. But being able to know that you're placing, a loved one somewhere they'll be cared with a trusted environment, that provides you with the peace of mind. And that eliminates those type of feelings. So I always say, now this is easier said than done, because everyone, feels like they should take care of their loved one 24/7, and no one can do it better than them. And that may be right, but you can't do it well if you're burnt out yourself. So I would absolutely say, feeling guilty doesn't last long, especially when you witness the type of care and the experience that your loved one's having at a care setting like FaithWorks.
I remember one time this elderly gentleman, I was out with my girlfriend, and he looked at me and he said, "What do you do for a living?" And my girlfriend answered, she said, "She's caregiving her mother." He looked at me, he said, "That's a thankless job." I will never
Oh, wow.
forget that man telling me that.
That is a true statement.
So, Kristi, can you tell us about like one or two, well, you know, I know the health rules or whatever, you don't give out last names and all that good stuff, but could you tell us some examples or some testimonials of some people that have come to the center and the great turnout that they've had by coming to your center?
Absolutely. So we've had several participants that they come in. They may have not been able to do much for themselves, and it's not because their family members are not providing the best care. It's because a lot of times that in this type of care setting, we're able to kind of pull out more than what one would display at home. So we've had folks that could come in and can barely walk, can barely feed themselves. And, within 90 days or so, they're able to feed themselves. They're able to ambulate better than they really have in the last year or so, because coming to adult care gives them this sort of purpose and this sort of, will to push on. And I think that's important, because when you lose purpose of life, you lose function, you lose abilities. So that's what we see a lot when folks come in. They do a total 360. And then you also have individuals, one that kind of sticks in my mind that's recent, that it's a husband and wife couple, and the husband's had some health challenges in the past year or so, and their relationship seemed to be very strained because his wife was a full-time worker and the full-time caregiver. But, I will never forget, he came, and the first day he came, on the way out the door, he said, "This isn't going to work," in the most grumpiest voice ever. But, when he left, I reassured his wife. I said, "He'll be just fine." And it's so refreshing to see them on a day-to-day basis. They have a routine where they hug and kiss before he comes in. Same thing when he sees her. It just feels like he's happier, she's happier. That stress of being that 24/7 caregiver is relieved, and now they can enjoy themselves and enjoy their marriage, and that is possible. That's still possible, and to see that is very refreshing. But just different scenarios like that happen every day at FaithWorks, and we're able to see the positive benefits of enrolling your loved one in adult day support services. You just see them kind of open up when you thought that door was closed forever. So it's something that is very rewarding for sure.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say that your staff has a lot to do with it, or the staff at any good day center is so important, right?
Absolutely. It's the staff that makes your program. I always say that, Now, we are a family-owned business. We've been that since we opened the doors in 2014. So we're very selective with who we choose to care for our participants at FaithWorks. But you know what? That's the type of center that you want your loved one in. You don't want a revolving door of caregivers. You want a sign of a good adult day support center is you ask them, how long has your staff been here? And if no one's been there more than a few months, that might be an issue here and there. I'm not saying there's not turnover, but having strong staff that care about the participants, that are really dedicated to your mission and what the folks you serve, and also who have a heart for caregiving, makes 100% difference in what type of program that you're able to develop.
Well, look, we're almost out of time, but I'm serious about this one. She knows what she is talking about. Her name is Kristi Bostic. I am telling you right now, you can call her because, like I said, she does telephone consultations or whatever, but this is her livelihood, and she's good at it, and she deserves the compensation, okay? Call Kristi. I don't care if you live in Alaska. If you got questions about enrolling your loved one in a daycare, if you have questions about a watch care, maybe you're wondering, do they have one in your area wherever you are, or you're interested in Kristi's, call Kristi. Kristi, how can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So Watch Care, we do service all 50 states. We provide service across the United States. Because a lot of our services are virtual. If you want to get in touch with us regarding Watch Care Senior Services, you can go on www.watchcarellc.com, and you'll be able to contact us right through that landing page. Also, with FaithWorks Adult Day Support Center, you're able to contact us at 804-918-5928, 804-918-5928. So we would love to help navigate or help assist anyone who needs help with navigating through this very confusing, overwhelming care service maze that sometimes we have to wade through. And also, if you're looking for adult day support services, the same. Our doors are always open, and we're able to help anyone with a tour or with just general information. Whatever you need, we're here for you.
Thank you so much. That's my girl, Kristi Bostic. And I thank you for coming on today. I love you to life. Anything you ever need from me, you know you've got it. I want to thank everybody I want to thank everybody who listened today. You all get on it, take care of these elders, and make sure that they get the best care possible. Have a good week. I love you all. Take care. And until next week, behold the green and gold. I'm Cheryl Wilkerson.